Xiao Tian finally concluded his happy life. He was forcibly stripped bare by the two drunken empresses. Although Xiao Tian pretended not to want it on the surface, his body was quite honest. After a three-person battle, they all fell into a deep sleep, exhausted. Meanwhile, outside the holy and demonic realms, in the chaotic void, a space suddenly twisted. A towering and rugged black battleship violently squeezed out from this distorted space. A group of figures stood on the deck of the battleship. These individuals were robust and roughly 2 meters tall, with blood-colored patterns on their skin and a strong aura of blood. The man with a blood-colored buzz cut on the deck, wearing battle armor, gazed ahead, nodding slightly, expressing surprise that they had actually chased the person here. Beside him, his subordinate touched his own bald head, looking down at the booklet in his hand with fluctuating spiritual energy. Muttering to himself, he wondered why it felt a bit off. The man with the blood-colored buzz cut touched his chin and said, "Indeed, it looks slightly different from the starry void map. Send someone to investigate the situation." The man with the blood-colored buzz cut stared at the world of the holy and demonic realms, saying, "After spending a huge cost, we finally managed to send ourselves over. We must seize Luo Taotian and Longqiu Baiqing." At this moment, in the prince's palace, Longqiu Baiqing opened her eyes again, her expression somewhat trance-like. She sat up, remembering that she should be in cultivation, but it seemed like she had been knocked unconscious. Thinking about this, Longqiu Baiqing quickly stood up, looked around, and found the entire room in a mess, filled with unknown broken objects scattered on the floor. Xiao Tian said, "You're awake." Hearing the voice, Longqiu Baiqing looked up to see Xiao Tian, who was wearing new clothes, making the bed. Longqiu Baiqing nodded slightly and asked, "Were there thieves in the house yesterday?" Xiao Tian finished making the bed, changed the bedding, and sighed while supporting his waist, saying, "We had a fight yesterday, so it's a bit messy." Longqiu Baiqing thought for a moment and said, "Although the time of our interaction was short, judging from last night's situation, your relationship seems good. There shouldn't be a reason for you to fight so violently." Xiao Tian, supporting his waist, looked at Longqiu Baiqing and said, "The deeper the relationship, the fiercer the fight. You probably won't understand." Hearing this, Longqiu Baiqing looked puzzled, not understanding why. Xiao Tian didn't offer any additional explanations. And Longqiu Baiqing picked up the tattered silk from the ground, frowning slightly at the bloodstains on it. Longqiu Baiqing asked, "Is this from wiping wounds? I didn't expect you to argue so fiercely." Xiao Tian replied, "Yeah, it was a brutal battle, almost like domestic violence." Xiao Tian snatched the silk from the other party's hand and stored it in the system space. He commented, "This kind of thing will teach bad habits to children. Let's put it away." Longqiu Baiqing sighed, realizing that being an emperor's husband was not an easy task. Hearing this, Xiao Tian nodded and went to the window, holding a cup of steaming tea. Before leaving, Xiao Tian instructed Longqiu Baiqing to stay in the prince's palace for now. Whether for cultivation or rest, she should not wander around. Longqiu Baiqing, puzzled, asked if something had happened. Xiao Tian said, "It doesn't make sense to run around everywhere." Then he quickly disappeared. Longqiu Baiqing looked around the spacious hall, standing alone for a long time before sitting down and entering a state of cultivation, motionless. After the establishment of the Empress's alliance, there were 2 joint court meetings each month to discuss and handle mutual affairs. The location was naturally at the boundary between their territories, in a temporary Empress's hall erected in front of the prince's palace. Officials whispered to each other about the Empresses, and Zhong Yangming, walking in front, turned to look at the officials behind him, saying, "Stop talking nonsense about His Majesty privately, and show more respect to the holy and demonic Empresses." On the hall above, the 2 Empresses exchanged glances, saying everything without words. Far away, Xiao Tian couldn't help but sneeze, wondering who was talking about him. Xiao Tian, accompanied by Zhong Yangming, walked towards the valley and simultaneously placed an order, besides stir-fried kidney flowers and grilled lamb kidneys, add a bit more. Also, Zhou Yanming waved his hand to stop Xiao Tian and said, "My lord, let me prepare a comprehensive nourishing feast for you." Xiao Tian paused for a moment, then realized that when it came to this matter, no one had more authority than Zhou Yanming. Thinking about it carefully, there should be no one more qualified in this field than Zhou Yanming. In that case, he decided to follow Zhou Yanming's arrangements.